Hello everyone, welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy and this is Scruffy Tales. And in this video we will be returning to take a look at Pokrovsk, the inevitable battle, and why that is an inevitable battle. So I haven't made a Pokrovsk video in a while. The last one I made I think was on the 27th of August, so quite a while ago. And well, the reason is it's happening basically the way I said it will happen. Russia is expanding, they're gaining territory, and not much is going to stop them from doing that. And they're doing it to set the stage for the eventual assault on Pokrovsk. And well, I mean, doing a video every day, repeating this that, Russia is taking territory for this and this reason, and we're just gonna have to wait 6 months until they're finished doing that before they launch the attack on the city, and then we're gonna have to watch them attack through the city for 6 to 8 months before we know if Ukraine or Russia won that battle. I mean, no. So no, that's why I, haven't made videos about Pokrovsk. It's unfolding the way I predicted it would. So it is what it is, right? So that's why I'm currently focusing on Kursk, because at Kursk no one knows what's going to happen from one day to the other. It's a very fluid modern battlefield where you have one armored push after the other with only a couple of days between them all. It's dynamic, fluid, chaotic, and no one knows what's going to happen. But the other day, 3 days ago, apparently, as I'm making this video, I watched a video with Professor Gerdes, and in that video, he was taking a look at Pokrovsk and the situation, and he was curious what the Russians were up to because they had pushed out from Oshcheretine all the way to Pokrovsk and Mirnorad, and now they were shifting focus away from Pokrovsk and moving south instead. And he was curious why that was a thing. So I figured maybe it's time to make another Pokrovsk video. It was some while ago, and well, I'm gonna repeat myself basically. I'm gonna be saying what I said over a month ago, and in this new video. And we're gonna be using the deep state map to use their nifty functions to highlight uh, what what is going on at Pokrovsk. And a heads up, my headset is pretty crap, so it shuts down, I don't know, once every 10 minutes or something. I don't know why that is, but anyway. So when we go on to the next section, I'll be talking a lot, and you know, if you hear a beep beep beep, that's the headset that shuts down. I reboot it, turn it on, and that takes 8 seconds, and then we're back on track and talking again. So when you hear the beep beep beep, just know that, a couple of seconds later, I will be right back to continue talking. Okay, moving on. Right, so let's talk a bit about Pokrovsk again. Situation on the 31st of July. Uh, we've had Russia breaking out of Avdiivka, moving up to Oshcheretine. They had that breakthrough, and then they started moving along the uh, the railroad, and they will continue following the railroad to bypass rivers and creeks in the area. Uh, being so they are allowed to move along land and don't have to worry about bridges and waterways and what have you. And so this is the 31st of July. Let's see, 10th of August. You can see they have now continued along the railway here towards Pokrovsk. 22nd of August. They are now at Krasnyar, Rodivka, Novorodivka. And this is where people seems to be a bit confused what's going on, because now Russia is at these two vital towns, Rodivka and Novorodivka, right outside Mirnorod and Pokrovsk. And this is when the shift moves southward. And people seem to be confused by this. 31st of August, 12th of September, boom, more advances in the south, some advances in Novorodivka, but the main push is southward. 26th of September, as you can see, Ukrainsk, and moving on to 13th of October. Uh, so why did Russia move all the way to Rodivka and Novorodivka, and why then this shift southward? Well, it's 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 kind of it's simple. They need space. That's all there is to it, really. And they also need supplies. Let's see here if we can utilize deep state's nifty functions here. Let's try this one. And so they need this road here, this highway, to bring in logistics to the fight. So that they can supply all the troops they need, all the artillery they need, and everything to launch the assault on Pokrovsk. And the big thing here, everyone's been talking about how Ukraine lost Volodar down here. Uh, is that super crucial? It's a symbolic victory, but what is more vital is Selidova here. If Ukraine loses Selidova, Russia's actually gained access to a strategic location, because Selidova here will be the forward command post for Russia. This is where they will bring in all the supplies they need along this highway here to Selidova, and from Selidova they can then portion it out to the front line as needed. And at Selidova they can set up command posts in buildings, in secure locations in the basements and what have you, stockpile things. They can have field hospitals and everything. So Selidova is key. If Ukraine loses Selidova, Russia has taken a major step towards setting things up for the final assault on Pokrovsk and Mirnorad. Uh, what else? Well, attacking cities of this size, like Pokrovsk and Mirnorad, you need an insane amount of troops. And with that comes an insane amount of food, water, ammunition, fuel for the vehicles, artillery and ammunition for the artillery and everything. And if you jam all of that, now because this is what people seems to be wondering, when Russia made it this far and had this territory, why didn't they go straight to Mirnorad? Well, and Pokrovsk for that matter. I mean, you're gonna need a crazy amount of troops, a crazy amount of troops, and you're gonna need artillery and everything, right? And they are gonna need logistics to support them. And if you jam all of that into this narrow area, I mean, it's going to be real easy for Ukraine to target everything in this region with artillery and target it with drones and what have you. There are few roads to utilize, so all the supplies will be easily targeted by Ukraine, and few towns. It's going to be easy to target Russian camps and uh, bases, forward bases of operations and what have you, killing troops as they're resting in these camps. There's just not enough room in this narrow corridor to launch an attack on Mironad and Pokrovsk. And also, you can't bring in all the artillery you need. Because if we use this nifty function here, I want towed howitzer. No, I want self-propelled howitzer. And I want a standard 152 millimeter. Let's put this artillery piece with a range of 28 kilometers right here on the outskirts, right on the outskirts of Pokrovsk. the range from this artillery piece, right? So if you only have this area to utilize, I mean, how many units can you put in this area and where can you hide them, right? Sorry for that, that's the headset. So that is why Russia is pushing out this way, and that is why they want to continue. They want to continue along this river here, more than likely, to gain access to all of this area down here so that they can set up all the artillery they need to attack Pokrovsk and Mirnorod to support the troops, to level these two cities and just reduce them to rubble as the troops are moving in. Uh, and they also need all of this, all of um, these towns and what have you to utilize as positions where you can rest troops, where troops can be brought out of the combat and rest for a day and then be brought back in. They can set up field hospitals, supply depots. They can gather uh, ammunition and food and what have you all over the place here and then ship it out to the front line as needed. Everything in preparation for the assault here on Mironad and Pokrovsk. And it also gives, we don't need that one anymore, Russia angles of attack. If they only had, like I said, something like this, it's pretty easy for Ukraine to realize that the attack, it's coming from this way and it's coming from this way. If Russia can push down this way, all of a sudden, I mean, Russia can come in from behind and reach the vital supply lines leading into Pokrovsk. They have, they can push further out this way to try and reach the supply lines, and they can attack from uh, all various angles, not just this frontal assault. It also forces Ukraine to spread out their artillery. You can't amass the artillery barrages to kill uh, 50 artillery pieces with one salvo. Now you need 10 salvos to maybe try and hit 2 or 3 artillery pieces. So what Russia is doing is, setting the stage for the eventual assault. I've talked about this in several videos, but I felt like maybe it was time to repeat it. Uh, so that is what's going on at Pokrovsk. This fight has not even yet begun. And this fight will take months. Right now, it's going to take months on end for Russia to set things up, to slowly push Ukraine back until Russia is ready to launch the attack on Pokrovsk. And when they do attack Pokrovsk, that battle will take months as well. And which is why I think Russia is maybe trying to come out here and begin pushing up behind Pokrovsk, because Pokrovsk has something like 5 supply routes leading in. One through here, and this one. I think there's one coming down from here, and another one following the river and into town. So maybe I should have used another pen for that. But those are the supply lines that supports Pokrovsk, and Russia may be trying to uh, come up behind them to cut them one by one, coming up here from the south in an attempt to isolate Pokrovsk. It's going to be very difficult. Maybe they'll start pushing out this way as well to try and reach those last supply routes. Who knows? But Russia is setting the stage, as it were, for the eventual assault on Mirnorad and Pokrovsk. It's not. Oi, oops. It's not that, Ukraine stopped the advance here and Russia is just moving south because they have nowhere else to go. No, Russia is waiting to launch the assault on these two cities, and they're waiting for when the time is right. And the time is right when they have ample room to position artillery, when they have enough room to spread out their forces, to set up camps and supply depots. and they need Selidove. It's going to be the hub, the logistical hub for Russia. From Selidove, they can portion out all supplies as needed, and this will probably be the command post where Russia will guide and control the assault from, where they will issue orders from. So Selidove, as long as Selidove is holding, Russia will not be able to launch this assault on Pokrovsk, and this will take months before anything can happen. And so yes, Selidove, far more important than Avdiivka, not Avdiivka, Vuhledar. Uh, this was a symbolic victory. It took Russia what? It's been a year since the battle for Vuhledar began. It took Russia a year to take this town that is now nothing but piles of rubble. There's nothing left. So symbolic victory for the Russians and for Ukraine. Ukraine lost piles of rubble. If Ukraine loses Selidove, however, we are talking something entirely different. That is a major step for Russia in setting the stage for the eventual assault on Pokrovsk itself. Um, I've also been wondering if maybe Russia might be after following this highway here westward to, you know, as they move along, start encircling Ukrainians along the front line here. That might happen, as well as Russia pushes out this way and grabs territory as they're moving along, and then they push along the highway, and as they go, they grab more and more territory, pushing south, and rolls up this entire front line. This won't happen in a week. I'm talking like 6 or 8 months forward here, well into 2025. So the question is if Ukraine can pull something out of the magician's hat to prevent this scenario from taking place. Who knows? But anyway, primarily Pokrovsk, yes. Russia pushed out through Ochirtine to Rodivka and Novorodivka, stopped because they were not in a position where they could attack Pokrovsk. Had they attacked from these two locations too early, Ukraine would have crushed the Russians, no doubt about it. So Russia is now sensibly calming things down on this front line and moving southward instead, and establishing logistical routes so that they can bring in all the supplies they need, and gaining space so they can set up artillery, command posts, field hospitals, and supply depots, and what have you, and also base camps where soldiers can rest and get ready for the combat. And when that is done, which will take a couple of months before that happens, we're going to be well into 2025, then the assault will begin, and then we will see several months, maybe a full year of combat within Pokrovsk and Myrnorod. And even then, at the end of it, there's no guarantee that Russia will take these two cities. What I can guarantee you is that Russia more than likely will manage to secure something like this. This is basically guaranteed, if you ask me. That's why I haven't really given much emphasis on this front line in my videos, because it's progressing pretty much the way I said it would 1 or 2 months ago, if not longer. Russia will keep forcing Ukraine back all over the place until they have this under control, and then they will bring in the artillery so that they can start hammering all of Pokrovsk and Myrnorod. They may even push out this way so that they can attack the supply lines leading into Pokrovsk. So, and this is going to take months, months and months and months. And I'm not surprised at what we're seeing. Russia is securing the logistical routes, they are expanding to make room for the artillery, and nothing else will happen. This is just gonna keep going. Russia will keep advancing until they have the territory they need to set things up for the eventual assault on these two cities. Oops. So that's the situation at Pokrovsk. That is why they stopped at Krasny Yar. My headset. Anyway, it is what it is. So that's why they stopped at Krasny Yar, Rodivka, Novorodivka. And that is why it's so important for Ukraine to hold in Selidovi. If they can pull that off, it's going to be a real thorn in Russia's side. But sadly, I think it's only a matter of time. Selidovi will eventually fall, and Russia will keep expanding as I've been in the way I've been talking about in the video. So that's the situation at Pokrovsk, and Ukraine won't be able to stop it. Russia has the eye on the ball. They will keep pushing to Pokrovsk. They will push to achieve all the objectives surrounding Pokrovsk before they can launch that assault. And if you're wondering if Kursk might affect Pokrovsk, I doubt it. If Ukraine forces Russia to allocate manpower to this region, it will be from Kharkiv, from Kupiansk, Zaporizhia, maybe even from Kherson, but not from Pokrovsk. This will keep happening. Russia will not give up on this. Russia may weaken other sections of the front line, but not Pokrovsk. So no, this will keep happening, no matter what happens in Kursk, basically. The thing is, though, if they weaken, say, Kharkiv, then Ukraine obviously have the option of moving troops from Kharkiv to the defense of Pokrovsk, or maybe move them up to help out in Kursk, who knows. But they essentially, if Russia chooses to weaken one section along the entire front line, it gives Ukraine manpower to allocate down to Pokrovsk and the defense of Pokrovsk. So that is the situation. All of this will happen, I'm sad to say, and Ukraine can only defeat Russia in this area when Russia begins to push into Pokrovsk and push into Myrnorod. It is in these two cities where Ukraine can win the battle, not outside. Outside, Russia will keep pushing. They will secure the territory they need, and Ukraine won't be able to do much about it. Eventually, Russia will launch the assaults on Myrnorod and Pokrovsk, and it is in the cities, in this urban area, it is there that Ukraine can defeat the Russians and break the army that is pushing in towards Pokrovsk. Well, that's it. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Not much else to add. I might return to Pokrovsk in another month or two. But yeah, this is what's gonna happen. Russia won't stop at Pokrovsk. They will expand, and they will expand until they feel they are ready to actually assault the cities themselves. And it is in the cities of Myrnorod and Pokrovsk where Ukraine can win, not outside. They will not be able to stop Russia from advancing outside of these two cities. They have to defeat them inside the urban areas of Pokrovsk and Myrnorod. Anyway, that's it. I hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.